It's like I can't walk on the ceiling. Oh yeah, got me dreaming, dreaming in colors I never dreamed in. Oh yeah, I let you in deeper than I let anyone else before. Fell in love with my broken pieces, took them all and made them yours. Didn't know what my heartbeat needed, skipping out, no I can't keep score. When I lose my breath, boy, you got me breathing. Oh, every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Oh. Magic. No, I'm never letting go. Now that I have it with you. When you kiss me, it's like the stars fall out the sky onto my heart to cover up what I don't wanna show. I let you in deeper than I let anyone else before. Fell in love with my broken pieces, took them all and made them yours. Didn't know what my heartbeat needed, skipping out, no I can't keep score. When I lose my breath, boy, you got me breathing. Oh, every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Oh, you take me higher, you take me higher, baby, you take me higher, you take me higher, baby, you take me higher, you take me higher, baby, you take me higher, yeah, you take me higher, baby.
Welcome to Radical Truth to Power, the progressive news show. Let's be S3. I am your host, Marlon, along with Theas, along with Anna Hart. And on today's show, we will look at the situation about Lauren Boebert being kicked out of a theater because she's acting like a high school schoolgirl. And we also look at what went on in Seattle with a cop who apparently is making light up. Nah, that's not true. Laughing at and joking about the death of a grad student. We're going to take a more deeper dive into that situation than anybody who's new to this show may be used to. We have a tendency of less of looking at the event and more looking at what caused it, what changes, and yeah, you'll see when we get into it. Also, during the second hour, we're actually full. We actually have a real or not, am I the a-hole, mafia video of the week, and Foxy's videos of the week. So we are jam-packed for the second hour with everything. So let's go ahead. How's everything going, Theas?
I'm good, man. How y'all doing?
I'm doing good. You said you watched one of your favorite movies?
Yeah, I watched two of them. First, I watched Spaceballs, and that's like one of my absolute favorite movies all time, hands down. I was surprised that because I watched that movie so much when I was a kid. I'm watching it and I still know almost all the words. I used to know all the words. Now I know almost all the words.
Okay.
And I was like, yo, this is still awesome. And then when that went off, it tells you movies to consider.
Mhm.
And it showed Robin Hood Men in Tights. And I'm like, yo, this is a Mel Brooks day. All right, run it. So I watched that too. So yeah.
I think on my next day off, I think I'm going to treat myself to Blazing Saddles.
Oh, nice.
I never got into that one.
I was always one of
No.
my favorite movies. Blazing
The only
Saddles.
thing I liked about that was the lady who plays the saloon girl, only
Mm.
because she's just
Madeline Klein.
amazing. Ooh, she's bad. Ooh, I could look at her all day. But as
Madeline
far
Klein.
as the
I'll never
movie,
forget that name.
I just couldn't quite. I couldn't quite get into the movie that much.
I can't get that name out of my head in a million years. Anytime you say that, it's Madeline Klein, because yeah, I get what you're saying, because Blazing Saddles and The End of the World.
I think she was in History of the World.
It was all Mel
History of the
Brooks
World.
movies.
Monty
History of the
Python.
World.
Yeah, that's-
History of the World. What the heck?
Did somebody turn my light off?
Wow.
Man,
Yes,
the bulb
in the
just went.
dark.
Yeah, I'll take you down real quick.
The glasses.
Oh, it's the glasses that's getting me. It's like, all you see is these little eyeballs. Oh God, that is hilarious. How you doing, Anna?
I'm doing fairly well. We had a tree planting ceremony for my late cousin Shirley today, and so we have family over, and I spent the day with my nephew. So it was busy. I'm a little tired, so y'all are warned.
I know. I would say I'm a little tired. I'm not really, but Lord, I had a nice dinner. Oxtail. Dang, minute I said oxtail. Never mind then. Oxtail ain't for everybody. Jeez. Okay. Apparently not. Sorry.
She would probably love it though.
It's good. It's really good. We're not gonna have it no time soon after this.
Hmm.
It was $25 for 2 pounds, and yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, that ain't one of those. Yeah, just take it.
Yeah.
It ain't happening.
That's a once in a lifetime thing.
That's a once in a lifetime. Let's see what we got out here. And by the way, just in case that was a joke to say, let's see what's out there, because it was the Anna show at pretty much the beginning. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Pull up a chair. Please social distance, as we have
Immunocompromised.
immunocompromised people in the panel and in the audience. And if you have a question or want to hear more from a specific person, don't be shy, but please be respectful. Please smash that like button, especially while we're live. That will tell the powers that be to advertise the show to more people on these YouTube streets. Many thanks. Tap that bell to personalize the way you are notified of our videos. Some like the whole show live, some like the segments. Find out what's right for you. And that one message it rejected this time was the short one. And thank you. Please stop. And YouTube, please stop censoring me. Have we alerted Mickey yet? Yes, I just did.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Hey, Tracy.
Tracy.
And prop 2. Hello, Mickey. How are you? And Mickey is saying hello to Tracy. I've been listening to way too many Reddit stories, because I read that whole thing like, hello, how you doing? What's up? Hey. But anyway, without further ado, let's get this party started. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the more lighthearted, lighter than the second story. Just take my word for it. Of the two stories, that was Lauren Boebert. I came across this because somebody showed a video of Lauren Boebert being basically felt up in a theater, like what you would do. I mean, yes, yeah, it was darn near all hands on
At a
deck.
TSA search, or
Yeah, it was an all hands on deck type of thing. Like everything that could be grabbed was, I ain't gonna say everything. Let's just say he reached for the boob, she reached for the. So yeah, in the theater, a musical theater, not the movie theater. Not like the lights was off and anything like that. So it was a he and ha ha moment. Like, oh God, this woman done lost it. But what I didn't know was that was not the story. And that's why I always tell people to be careful, because if you see a small clip of something, chances are it's clipped from something a lot larger.
bigger. Yeah.
And that's what this was about. That was part, I ain't even gonna say that was part of it because they didn't mention it. But there were other parts of there was other things that she did in the theater that got her kicked out the theater.
Right, please.
Boebert. Say it 3 times and she appears in security video from a weekend performance of Beetlejuice, where the congresswoman was kicked out of the theater for being disruptive. The DCPA says she was vaping. Boebert's team denied that, said the haze was from fog machines in the show. That claim goes up in smoke when you see the video. The pregnant woman sitting behind Boebert told the Denver Post she asked her to stop vaping, and Boebert refused. Her one-woman show continued, taking flash photos, raising her hands and dancing, often the only one clapping or standing up in the crowd. Boebert occasionally took a break from being disruptive to enjoy the company of her male companion. He briefly had a grasp on the situation before ushers returned and told Boebert she had to leave. The theater's incident report says Boebert pulled the "Don't you know who I am" card on the way out, appearing to give theater employees the single-finger salute.
Did you see the grasp on reality?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw that.
Here's my thing. And it's the boomer mentality, the mentality. Oh, he's back. Let there be light.
We has electricity.
Lord have mercy. That was hilarious. The boomer mentality
I
of,
forgot my glasses somewhere.
yeah. You better go find them, because that's maybe the only way we can identify you if it happens again. The let's just say it's the boomer mentality. I can't think of the other word. That I would hope that people that have these positions, and believe me, this is going to be a ha-ha moment when I say this, because I know better. That I would hope these people will hold themselves a little more responsible in their actions, even though I know they won't, because their base just don't care. And it still irritates me, and I guess that's me hoping for the sake of hoping, but deep down I just know it's not. Like, it's just something about politicians and doctors and lawyers and teachers and mothers and fathers who are always just thought that you should have some kind of respect for yourself in public, because your title is representative. Your title is representative. And you're not doing that. I'm sorry. You look like an effing schoolgirl who went to the movies with her boyfriend and all the things that come to that stuff. You look like a horny schoolgirl. You look like a child. And you acted like a child. And then you pull a Karen with "Don't you know who I am?" Like that matters. And then the creme de la creme on the way out the door, the one finger salute. I'm sorry. I have no idea if I'm more mad at you or the people who voted your ass in. But then again, when I say you are representative of the people, maybe you literally are representing the people. And I hate to do it with a broad brush like that. But if there's no accountability of this BS, I'm sorry. Then you're going to be painted with a broad brush. If you sweep this under the rug and nothing happened and what's the big deal and everything else, okay, fine. But the only thing that pisses me off so much about this is if AOC did the exact same damn thing, you'd have been trying to get her ass kicked out. Not out of
Committee or
one of the committees and everything. You literally would have tried to have her kicked out of the house.
yeah.
But okay, never, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Go ahead, Anna.
I don't get that. I don't get it, bro. I don't. This is just another shiny object type thing because the entire House of Representatives has been less than stellar for quite some time. And she's not the only media obsessed member. She's not the only one who is pushing her brand more than trying to do the job. Okay, she's not the only one. But
one of
her
the
and
louder
AOC,
ones.
she's one of the louder ones, yeah, but I'm just saying her and AOC catch all the heat. Whenever they do anything, they catch all the heat. MTG too, because that's her brand. But yeah, I think there is a level of respectability that definitely has to come into play because you are in an elected office. Like you literally work for us, all of you. You know what I'm saying? But then that, like Marlon was saying, we're the ones voting for these people. Even in gerrymandered districts, you're choosing to vote for these people. Gerrymandering means very little in the face of people who decide what they want to vote for. It is what it does is it works really good for people who follow dogma or follow teams. So that's where gerrymandering has its real power. So yeah, is her behavior unseemly? Yes, but we're only concerned about it because we caught it on tape. All these guys that are in the House of Representatives got mistresses, and all the women who got their little male toys on the side, but they're not being caught on camera, so they're not catching the heat. So it's just I just don't get it. I don't. I mean, it's just another 90210 moment, or TMZ moment or something. I don't know, man. Like, who the fuck cares? And as to your point, if this had been a Democrat, we could say that about anything. The problem is how the Democrats conduct their business. You don't look at the people who are doing wrong and say, if only I could do wrong too. That's bad business. You know what I'm saying? But we know what we're up against, so why are we so quick to jettison someone when we know that the other side is absolutist and hypocritical? We still have to clean house. We got to hold things accountable. But sometimes the Democratic side, they do things because they're trying to maintain an image and not because of what needs to actually be done. So the whole thing's a shit show. the whole thing. So I just come back to the point where I'm like, are we really focusing on her just because she's like youngish, attractive-ish, and outspoken-ish? If she was male, quiet, and older, would even make the news? I doubt it.
Would the smell still be in the house?
So what?
Would this, if we turn it all the way over, if it was a male, if it was quiet, are they also a representative? That
Yeah, just make it equal. But it
okay,
had to be on the Republican side. We know what we would do on the Democratic side.
right?
Okay.
Yeah,
You know, Al Franken is a clear example of what you do on the Democratic side.
yeah.
But on the Republican side, if it had been a dude, it's less of a story. It wouldn't have as
Mhm.
much legs. It would come up and it would go away.
Right.
But because she's an outrage machine and she's a woman, respectability comes in quicker and harder and faster for her than it would for her male counterpart who acts in an
Mm-hmm.
indecent way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to, I do agree with that to an extent, because now I have to say, but it depends on who the male counterpart was. If it was somebody who we have no idea who the heck, we could walk past them on the street and have no idea who it was. No, now, that's not to say it wasn't as bad. It was just been the reality of saying, "Oh, you're in the house
So it's
from
the
what state?"
entertainment factor.
Yeah, that's
It's
what I
the
mean.
entertainment factor. If we
So,
can't assign meth to it, we don't want to deal with it. We'll just say that that's just what they do. That's what we would do. If it was a guy who got caught out with his mistress or something,
boys
we'd
will
just
be
be
boys.
like, that's just what they do. They're all corrupt up there and they all cheating on their spouses, and then we will move on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I have danced in my seat. I have um, really enjoyed a stage performance, but that would always stop short at I would never bring a vape pen into an enclosed space with others and just not into public. It is, it's not a good thing to do. um, Once again, sorry, tired and brain not grasping the right words. But that's the only place where it becomes an issue for me. You you disrupted the public to a point that I mean, I don't know. Did they have to stop? It just it is childish. You're absolutely right, and you wish people would behave better. But you see all those videos of people who lose their shit on so much less than even this.
Yeah, I
You
mean, she's
know,
an elected
and
official, so I think you should hold her to a higher standard. So
yes, and I agree to
that
that.
should happen because you're an elected official or you're a
Hmm.
keeper of the trust, as they say. You should have higher standards, not lower.
Right.
That was the
Um,
word I was thinking of. Standards. Yeah.
so that's one. But
Yes.
then, given that we're not holding the whole House and Senate to these standards, it's hard to really hang her out to dry too hard on it. So now I'm going to look at her as an individual. And as an individual, this is a woman who was recently divorced. She's she's an attractive woman. She's recently
Mhm.
divorced. She's dealing with whatever she's dealing with. And I've known a lot of people who go through a divorce or a heavy separation and they behave very similar to what she's doing. You're like recapturing your youth and being
Yeah.
carefree and all that other shit.
Mm-hmm.
So I can look at her behavior and say, still inappropriate, but I understand.
But I get it.
Then I
Yeah.
look at the vape pen situation. I don't smoke. I don't smoke. But
Mm-hmm.
I know multiple people who do smoke and they carry their damn vape shit around with them and they do it any and everywhere. It doesn't matter what the rules are
I'm
because it
sorry.
doesn't stink like a cigarette. It doesn't stink like a cigar. So they take their little pool and they'll blow it downward to the floor or something like that. Is what they do. It's wrong
I'm so
and she
sorry.
should get bounced for it, but
Mm-hmm.
that's what happens. You know what I'm saying? Everything she
Right.
was doing, you see somebody else do on the regular.
All the time.
Like she didn't, like she faced the
wasn't
logical consequence of someone acting trashy in public. She faced the logical consequence all the way through, all the way through. But it's because she is who she is that it becomes a national story.
Right.
But with our broken politics, that doesn't matter because it just bolsters her image as a renegade and a rebel.
Right. That makes her more
She's
people
more
like her better.
sympathetic to her brand.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Like the lady who got bust down when she crawled through that window at the Capitol and got shot in the face. She became a sympathetic person because not because of anything she did that led up to her getting shot. It was the fact that she got shot.
Mm-hmm.
It's all that mattered.
Mm-hmm.
And so they'll focus on that piece. We're not dealing with good faith actors, but what I also feel like when I look at the left is like, y'all not really good faith actors either. You too much halfway, man. You either gonna go all in and go scorched earth and fight like they're fighting, or you're gonna have a standard and you're gonna fight from that place. But they want to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and you can't fight a fight like that. And not on the same subject, but Nancy Pelosi, damn it, why? Yeah. We having a whole discussion about motherfuckers being too old, and here your old ass is talking about, yep, running again. You
Running
didn't hear
again.
nothing. We said less police on the streets. Biden said, let's get some more cops. We said stop insider trading. Nancy Pelosi said, not so much.
Mm-hmm.
We said we got old octogenarians who refuse to step down and let others take their logical next step. Biden and her, not so much. The only one with some damn sense, and he's only doing it because he's a coward and he knows he can't fight against the rot in his party, is Mitt Romney, who's like, yo, it's time to go.
Yeah. It's time for
And
me
he's
to
the
go.
healthiest one out of all of them.
Yeah.
You can have that one because I burnt myself out when somebody told me that she was running again. I went on a whole entire rant on that. Like, wait, what?
Because she can. She's addicted to the power.
You are literally the poster child of somebody who left the place richer than you was when you went in. Take your money and run.
Why would you stop that pipeline?
She is Clarence Thomas. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The left don't like to hear it, but that's what she is. Clarence played the rules to his benefit and enriched himself. Nancy played the rules to her benefit and enriched herself. Anytime you're talking about somebody whose personal stock trades are more accurate than the Fortune 500 index fund or whatever, her trades are more accurate than the index. And her husband is a stock trader.
Mm-hmm.
And she's one of the wealthiest people in Congress. Come on now. Hey, you did your thing. You robbed. You got your money. I think you're a foul. I think you foul. I do. I think you're a robber baron. But you did do some good work as you were stealing from people. but now it's time to retire. Take your ill-gotten gains and take your happy ass home. Even your husband being almost murdered in the house and he was only attacked because your ass wasn't home. That wasn't enough for you to stick to your guns and say, I'm done.
Yeah.
All these old people in Congress saying, I'm just going to die with my boots on. Well,
I'm not
on
going
one
to
hand,
enjoy my grandkids, great-grandkids. I'm not going to retire. I'm in power and money. No, not going to
and think about it. How much easier work schedule could you possibly have anyway?
Really?
Okay? They have an incredibly easy work schedule. They work, 90 days a year? You get paid all the time. It's a cake job. You can do it when you're 90 years old and all that, so they do. So that comes back to us, the voters, who keep putting these jokers right back in office.
Thank you for another segment.
But are we given a better choice?
That's a whole discussion that I think is very important for people to have. Right? We are constantly waiting for them to come out. There's an old analogy I've used, but it's the crayon box, right?
Right.
They come out, they're carrying the 64 pack of crayons. You know, those of us who came up in the 80s, you know, I had a little sharpener in the back, you know what I'm saying? Only the cool kids and the rich kids had that joint, right? But you see them come out with the 64 pack, and then they open the box and they pick out a red one and they pick out a blue one and they hand it to you and say, pick the best one. And we take the crayons and we try to choose between the red one and the blue one, which one's better, without ever asking, yo, how come you only gave me 2 crayons when you got 62 more of them sitting in the box? What's going on? We don't ever ask that question. We don't ask the question of what's in the pipeline. We don't ask the question of how do we decide who's up next. We don't ask the question of why is it that the people with the best ideas and the best intentions can't rise to the top, because they can't rise because they can't get the money that it takes to play in the game, to build the favoritism to get their name on the ballot. We don't want to know. We just want to do the least effort possible, and that is once every 4 years, maybe, if I feel like it, I'll devote an hour to go vote for somebody.
All right, let me cut this short so we can get on to the next story, because it's probably going to take up the whole rest of it. Do you literally have to mute yourself to make sure you don't talk anymore? Wow. Let's go ahead and get into the next story, because it's probably going to take us all the way through to the next hour. And to be honest with you, if it takes us into the second hour, so be it. You should know by now, or if you're new to this show, I'm not on. If the information is more important than the time frame, I'm always going to pick the information first before I worry about time. Hell, I'm the one edited it, so there you go. Seattle, in Seattle, there was a video that was released to the public of a cop who is on his body cam laughing and joking about, and this happened the same day, by the way, of an investigation that he was investigating about another cop who hit a 23-year-old grad student, knocked her 100 yards away, and killed her. Let's go ahead and get the backstory on that real quick.
That disturbing police video igniting outrage tonight in Seattle. The officer heard laughing on police body cam video just hours after responding to the death of a pedestrian hit in a police collision. Here's Matt Gutman.
Tonight, Seattle police conducting an internal investigation into this video, which sparked national outrage.
But she is dead.
Body camera video capturing Officer Dan Otterer on the phone with his union president, laughing at the fatal police-involved collision that killed graduate student Janavi Kandula. The officer, heard laughing, had responded to the collision just hours earlier. Police say it was a different officer's cruiser that struck the victim while she was walking across the street, while that officer was responding to a medical emergency. The officer, who was later heard laughing, responding to the scene.
Yeah, just write a check. Just, yeah, $11,000. She was 26 anyway. She had limited value.
She was actually only 23 years old. The incident report concludes that the offending officer slammed into Kandula at over 60 miles an hour. Her body tossed over 100 feet.
I mean, he's going 50. That's not out of control. That's not reckless for a trained driver.
8 months after the January incident, Seattle police releasing the video after they say a department employee became concerned about the nature of the statements heard on the video and escalated their concerns through their chain of command. In a statement, David, the victim's family saying that they've been left with an unfillable void and that every life is invaluable. Now, the union for that officer saying that video lacked context.
So before we even make our first comment about it, because I think that gave it an injustice of the video itself. So let's play the video of what was said. Keep this in mind that this is only 30 seconds of the video. Only 30 seconds.
I don't think she was thrown 40 feet either. I think she went up on the hood, hit the windshield, then when he hit the brakes, flew off the car. But she is dead. No, it's a regular person. Yeah, just write a check. Yeah, $11,000. She was 26 anyway. She had limited value.
Theas, I'm gonna go ahead and let you go first because you was making some good points before we went on air, and I agree with it.
I don't even remember the points I was making, but I'll make some more. So what I need people to do is focus on things beyond what's put in front of your face. You know, I hope this does trouble people because it's a troubling thing. Okay. But at the end of the day, this was an accident, which happens because of the reckless authority and freedoms that we give. Now that some of y'all give to law enforcement. They get to speed when they want to speed. They're supposed to have the lights on, but it's not really a rule or a law. It's just what it is, you know? So you speed, odds go up that you're going to hit somebody or hit something. You know, one of the number one causes for a police officer deaths is being killed in their car from speed. So there's so many layers to this. I mean, the obvious shock value is police officer runs into a street speeding, hits a young lady, she dies a horrible death, and then the police officer's comrades could care less. You're not real people to them. So they're able to laugh about it and joke about it. And such is their callousness, such is their depravity, that nothing was going to come of this. So someone else in the system became so disgusted that they leaked it out. So there's a lot of failures in this thing. And I don't know, I'm not really up for the full diagnosis of all of that, because at the end of the day, I don't trust the police. I see them as a gang. They're a criminal organization. The only thing that makes them legal is that they have a badge. They do all the same things that the people that they supposedly are trying to stop. They lie, they extort, they abuse, they enforce their power through threat of violence and death. They will harm their own. They will harm the outside. They have the sheepdog mentality. If you've never heard the sheepdog theory, it's something that law enforcement has, where they don't view themselves as part of the actual community. There's something above that, right? So you have the wolf, you have the sheep. Well, we're the sheep.
Mm-hmm.
Bad guys are the wolves. The police see themselves as sheepdogs. They're not even part of the population that they're trying to protect. They're better than that. So they see us as just things. And part of that comes from the nature of the job. You put people in a position where they interact with the public in a person's worst 30 minutes of their life constantly, every day. You become desensitized. That's why they need to do a better job of taking care of our law enforcement. And I don't even like fucking cops. But you got to, if we want to improve that thing, we got to do it all. We got to make sure that they have proper mental health services readily available. We got to make sure that we're giving them time, sufficient downtime. We got to make sure that they're not being pushed into a lot of overtime. We got to make sure that they take at least a week straight every year off duty, full week. We do it in the financial services sector. Working in the bank, we had to take a full week off because we wanted to make sure if I was doing something dirty, usually it's going to start to crack within a week because these things take maintenance. They take work.
Right.
So you make sure these cops are off. So that way, if they're doing the drug game or they're doing something else that they ain't supposed to be doing, some of that stuff can start to leak out and get caught, or just for them to be able to fucking not be on the street every day. So there's a lot of things that go into it. The young lady being murdered is just what gets it onto not murdered. The young lady being killed is what gets it into the press, which gets people to pay attention, which will make people mad for today. And within 3 days, the community will move on and the family will remain broken.
Anna?
Really, the biggest thing that I heard in there was the way he devalued her life. And yes, it's something they're programmed to do. It doesn't make it any less shocking to hear. And this has been on our local stations pretty constantly. I feel at a loss. What do you say? What do you... there's still people who will tell you that there's nothing wrong with policing culture. They'll hear this and go, that's absolutely fine. That's what they need to do. Once you stop seeing people as people, I think you need to step down.
I literally
And
looked
notice
at
at the end where he said, you're missing context. They always say that we don't understand what the hell we just saw.
hold that thought. This is literally, thank you for damage report, so I didn't have to write all of this down. But this is from the damage report. This is his response of what Theus just said, that it was out of context. This is what he was really talking about.
I intended the comment as a mockery of lawyers. I laughed at the ridiculousness of how these incidents are litigated and the ridiculousness of how I watch these incidents play out as two parties bargain over a tragedy.
Let me look at this in two ways, real quick. And I was talking with Theus about it, and he'll remember this. First of all, I looked at this whole situation as the Ahmaud Arbery situation. Not for the fact of what happened, the tragedy itself, but for the fact that it wasn't like the cops that this would not have came out if it wasn't for somebody who had morals to release it. If you remember the Arbery situation, that case was shut down. That was over with. It was a done deal. It did happen. We're going to bury it and everything else. It wasn't until one of the guys got cocky, said it to somebody on the radio who had morals, and turned it over to the SBI, who did the investigation. This was the same thing. Honestly, if you're outraged about this, you're outraged basically because somebody had morals. Because if you're outraged because this was done without knowing that this guy has been investigated a lot, and he's vice president of the union, which I read some or heard somewhere. But he's with a union, so union. If y'all want to sit here and try to both smoke up my ass and make me believe that a police union is the same as the union, Amazon union, please go sit your narrow ass down somewhere. Because then you're really just kind of pissing me off if you think that's the same thing. A union that's trying to get better working conditions for their workers is not in anywhere comparable to the union who blatantly cover up and protect cops. Not the same.
They're a crime syndicate. They're the syndicate.
They are. and you think that's the same thing? What is trying to be? One literally, if I even say what is to literally serve and protect, which one you think I'm talking about? Surprisingly enough, it ain't the cops.
Well, I agree with you. Every time somebody starts to paint too rosy a picture about labor unions, I got to be like, whoa now.
Well, until we get to the point of, cause yeah, I keep an eye on all unions. I do.
No, it's the point. It's the point that I made before about like when we were talking about the RICO situation and how we clap when they're doing what we want them to do, and then we pretend like we don't see when they do the other shit. The labor unions, they're very discriminatory, even to this day. It's still a good old boys club that decides who gets in and who gets out. Right? The police union is the worst because they literally act like a crime syndicate. It does not matter what happened. We will protect our own. That is their motto. That is their way. And then every once in a while, if something is too egregious, they'll throw out a sacrificial lamb, and they'll throw out somebody who is so low on the totem pole, but they just needed to sacrifice somebody to show that, see, sometimes we can be fair. Meanwhile, that person that you just jettisoned and left out there to dry, their whole family is destroyed because they don't have the protection that you normally would have given the rest of the police. It's all dirty, every last bit of it. And I hate to be that cynical dude, but that's where we are. Like all these institutions are busted, and the power of society is we try very hard not to look at the things we don't know how to fix. And so police get away with what they get away with. You know, we had like all that information and all that attention on qualified immunity. Where did that go? Right? Then you have full immunity for prosecutors and judges. No one ever talks about that. So we kind of go at things, but we don't really want to do anything because it's hard. And we don't know how to rely on each other, much less the system. So what we have to do now is we can't even count on the system to fix itself or the system to police itself. We have to count on an outlier. We have to count on somebody leaking. We have to count on some individual being the hero. Like what you just pointed out, Marlon. Somebody had to be so disturbed by this that 8 months later, they're like, no, y'all not going to just pretend like this didn't happen. I can't sleep. I'm going to say something. Ahmaud Arbery, the fix was in. The local attorneys and the police department got together and they were like, all right, well, look, this is messed up, but we're going to have to go ahead and shut this down. But it had to leak for anybody to know. It's just, I don't know. I think we're at that point, man, where it's every man for themselves and the whole shit's gonna burn. And what we're doing right now is a bunch of people trying to throw water on it, trying to keep it from burning too fast.
When you have so much, when you see stuff like this so much, and when you see it over and over and over again, I agree with Diaz when he said we don't like the cops. I don't, but we still need the cops, and yes, we do. The problem that I have with me agreeing with that is, but sometimes when you have somebody, I'm going around saying this. There's something psychopathic about somebody who's literally laughing at somebody who just got killed. Let's take the cop.
Why do you think he chose to be? Why do you think he chose to be a police officer?
Yeah, there's something really effing wrong with you laughing at somebody. And by the way, I want to put this in a time frame. That was an hour after he investigated. It wasn't the next day or something like that. That was an hour after he investigated. There's something mentally freaking wrong with
the visualization of that woman's broken body was fresh.
Yeah.
That's how detached he is.
And by the way, then he's already covered it up. Because when they came back and said the guy was going 70 miles per hour, you already put the fix in. Well, 50 miles per hour wasn't, reckless driving. You're absolutely right. 50 wasn't. If he was going 50, which he wasn't, he was going 70. And no, I truly don't believe that she was not 40 yards away. You're absolutely right. She was not 100. So something already, you have been in this job so freaking much, so long, and you have done this BS for so long that you already got the laminated paper already ready. An hour after investigating, you done slowed down the car and you done shortened the distance.
I'll take it one further, bro.
Ready.
Think about it this way. Okay, because there's a lot of different mentalities and thought, because everybody who becomes a police officer isn't broken or twisted. But think about this. If you are the type of person that would find some level of satisfaction in being able to dictate life or death, what other job would you rather take? If you were the type of person who has like kind of a masochist kind of ideology about yourself, you like to see others in pain, you like to inflict pain, what better job is there for you to take? If you're the type of person who thinks that you're a race warrior and you just want to keep other races down, or they're all vermin and they're inhumane and all these things, what other job is there for you to want to take? So for every one person who grew up in a tough environment and just wants to go in and be part of the change, part of the solution. There's another one who just wants to hurt somebody. There's another one who just wants to kill somebody. There's another one who wants to do the drug game from a different angle. There's another one. I believe the police force is overwhelmingly full of warped, psychopathic, sociopathic personalities. Because if you are that type of person, what other job do you want? You don't want to go and be a lawyer. You don't want to go be a doctor. If anything, you might join the military. And so you go do that for a little while. But then what happens when they get out the military? They go become police officers. So we are dealing with a huge problem. And remember, there was a report that came out back when they had all the issues when Trump was in office, but it wasn't his fault. He just was letting some of the air get out of the stench. But they found out that with special operations teams in the military, high rate of racism and hatred and xenophobia, high levels. These are people who are force multipliers. These are people that we took in, taught how to kill. They have these ideations, then they get out, and then they go become law enforcement. And then you give them military toys. Well, who gets a toy and doesn't want to play with it? Who gets authority and doesn't want to exercise it? Who gets power and doesn't want to reflect it? So yeah, that's what I see when I look at this story. That's why I'm not even mad. I'm just looking at it like, I hope more people are starting to pay attention. I'm not just anti-cop because I'm black. I'm anti-cop because of cops. And sorry, I'm running on again, but you had said a moment ago, well, we still need police. Yes, kind of. But we got to be more imaginative in what that is. And to me, that means you're going to have to shut it all down and build it back up. Right? You're going to have a skeleton crew of specially trained and ready to go law enforcement people who have to pass rigorous testing and backgrounds and all that. And then everybody else, you got to reapply for your job. And you might not get it back. But society ain't ready for that.
Yeah, because the deal is, let me put a caveat on what I said before we go into the second hour. When I was agreeing with Thea is that we don't like cops, but we need cops. I want to make something perfectly clear, just in case somebody like to, cut and stitch our video with just that statement being said. We don't need cops like this. These are the cops we're trying to eliminate, to get rid of, to stay as far away from human society as they possibly can. Like you, sir, should never have any authority over absolutely nothing.
Yep, but here's what happens because we don't know what to do with them. So you get rid of them. People got to go somewhere, right?
Yep. So
you say they can't be a law enforcement. They're too old to go back into the military. So where they going to end up? They're going to become bail bondsmen. They're going to become security guards. They're going to become private security. They're going to become correctional officers. They're going to become, you know what I'm saying? It's like when you go after a priest who molests children and you don't put them in jail, what do? They can't be a priest anymore. So they become a school teacher. They become a mentor or a tutor. They become a musical teacher. They find themselves right back where their chosen prey. So we need to do something, but just understand that we're going to be moving deck chairs because they're going to go. You're going to squeeze it, and it's going to go into another place.
All right, everybody, that is our first hour. I appreciate.
All good news.
At least it was better than yesterday. I appreciate everybody that stuck around for the first hour. I really do. We are going to go ahead and go into the second hour. Like I said at the top of the show, if you haven't seen it, we have a full show. We have a Am I the A-hole? We have a Mafia video of the week. We have a Real or Nah, and we also have Foxy's video of the week. So 3-minute break to reboot and refresh, and we will see everybody on the other side. Stay tuned.
Living for weekends, wishing I could take a break from this world. Running on a hamster wheel, but searching for something I can't feel. I just wanna be a lost girl and fly. Take a breath, feel my wings spread, levitate above the ground and make eye contact with clouds. Now I'm rising, I'm soaring above it all. I just wanna be free, finally, I wanna be free, I wanna be free, I wanna be free, I always daydreaming, never imagined I lose my spark. Living in this crazy time, putting back the pieces of my mind. I know how to run from the dark and fly. Take a breath, feel my wings spread, levitate into the clouds. I'm so high above the ground, I'm rising, I'm soaring above it all. I just wanna be free, finally, I wanna be free, I wanna be free, I wanna be free, higher to a bird. You, I'm rising, I'm soaring above it all. I just wanna be free, I wanna be free, I wanna be free, I wanna be free, finally.
We are back for the second hour. Anna, check the private messenger board when you get a chance, or check our messenger when you get a chance.
Thank you. I'm all right. I'm emotional. I am. It is hard for me to not look at a story and to feel all the feelings that come across. I've spent my life trying so hard to be able to have that bubble between myself and other people's energy. because it hits me really hard. I don't need to leave. It would be
It wouldn't be any better whether you leave or not.
right, and sometimes it would be better for me to stay and feel all the things, really let it burn right through so it can go quickly. And, you know, and in the next moment, we might be laughing. We
Or I could tell you a story and you get mad at something completely different, and then we'll sit here and watch something else. Because that was fun last week when I did it.
Oh no. But I mean, I am sympathetic and I am empathetic to the world. That's not going to change. Here I am. Take it or leave it, you know?
That's my sis. Let's go ahead and pay these bills. Here we go. Please support Tracy at buymeacoffee.com/Tracy Media LLC. Help support Tracy in all of her endeavors. Please go to Anna Hart's website, borrelia.etc.com. Learn something that you didn't think you need to know, but you should. And as always, if you want to leave me a line or anything, you can do so at radtp@outlook.com. That's radtp@outlook.com. I'm just never going to get used to that. I'm just not.
And then it will change.
And then it will change. Am I the a-hole? I have so many of them. But I'm going to play this next one only for the simple fact that the one that I had picked, I kind of think I already did play it. But either Diaz and or Tracy wasn't on here.
Okay.
So one of y'all would actually hear it for the first time. But I'm going to go ahead and put another week in front of it. So, you know, it could be kind of more fresh for whoever did hear it. So I'm going to go ahead and play this other one because I have been saying this for the longest time. And like I said, 3 years ago, I am not the person that I was 3 years ago. I have grown a lot socially. I refuse to be called a boomer anymore because some of the stuff that I've been thinking about when I was growing up, I found it was absolutely effing wrong. It was just easier for me to feel that way because of that. One of the things is pranks. And I was one of the people who thought, what's wrong with a prank? It's stupid. It's not funny to me, but a prank is a prank. Till I realized that, you know, a prank really isn't a prank if everybody's not laughing, include the person that you're doing a prank on. So this is an example of a prank gone wrong.
My fiance, male 31, proposed to me, female 28, days ago. He has this habit of joking around and pulling pranks from time to time. It bothers me sometimes, but I try to have patience. His family wanted to throw us an engagement party at a restaurant. I heard his mom talk about how expensive the place was and how much money they paid for reservations, so this was clearly a huge deal for them. My fiance and I were getting ready. I noticed my engagement ring wasn't where I left it before I entered the shower. I freaked out and looked for it everywhere. I asked my fiance about it, and he said he didn't see it. I freaked out and was running out of time for the party. He sat there watching me, almost losing my mind and trying to find it, to the point where I started crying because without the ring, I couldn't show up to the party. I kept thinking about what his family would say and how they'd think I was irresponsible to lose the ring that is somewhat expensive. I gave up looking and sat down and just cried in frustration. Next thing I know, my fiance was standing in front of me, laughing with his hand extended to me with the ring in it. I asked where he found it, and he could barely speak and say that he hid it last minute before the party as a prank. I was in shock. He casually told me to get ready so we could get there on time, but I just sort of blew up on him and started yelling, saying he hid the ring, made me freak out for 2 hours almost, and almost made me miss the party. He was like, "Relax, it was a prank, okay? Don't make a big deal out of it and ruin the evening." I told him I wasn't going to the party, and that if his family asked, I would tell them it was because he hid my ring. He freaked out and started begging me to let it go and just go with him, but I refused and went into the bedroom, took my medication and stayed there. He lost it and kept saying that I blew this out of proportion and that I ruined my own party and cost his family money and disrespected them by not attending. His family found out and they were mad at him, but also me for choosing to not attend and getting over it. But I was in a horrible state emotionally and couldn't handle being in a public place after what had happened. Am I the jerk for choosing to not go after he hid the ring? Info: why would you marry someone who thinks making you cry is funny? OP: he said that I'm prone to crying and that I get emotional and cry over every little thing, which isn't his fault, basically calling me a drama queen. I do tend to overreact sometimes, but I genuinely was worried about losing the ring.
Okay, I'll go first this time on this story. Only because I'm going to do something brand new just to see if it sticks or not. The guy that I listened to on this is our reader. I like his videos because he actually puts the comments in the video after the story. I really like that. It is really cool concept. The other stuff, not so much. But that I really like. So I actually have some of the comments that was said after this. Tell you off the bat now, I disagree with the last two. But so let me go ahead and get my rant over, and then I'll play the second video, and then I'll shut up and leave it up to Theus and Anna. It's not a prank. It's not funny. And for you to honestly think that making somebody panic for 2 hours is funny, it is to you. And what the worst thing that you could tell somebody who you had panicking for 2 hours is to get over it. Sorry, but not sorry, but we're in the second hour, and Thea's broke the rule the first hour anyway, so I'm not messing up anything. If you're sitting here trying to tell me to get over what I just went through, panicking over something that I thought I was lost just to make you feel better, fuck you. Because getting over it only helps one person out of the two people in this room right now. And it ain't me. It's just you. But just to take it a step further, this is one of those things you need to know in a relationship, period, point blank, in a discussion. You need to know what's going to piss your damn spouse off. You know what's going to make your spouse cry. And if you're willing to go and do all those things to do that, to make them mad, to make them cry, then you're a fucking lowlife. Who the hell goes out of their way? And I'm not talking about we have to have the discussion and we're going to have to sit down and have the hard talk. I'm not even talking about that because, yeah, I know I'm going to have a hard talk and you're going to feel some type of way, but this is something that we're going to have to discuss because for us to move forward, we're going to have this discussion. And I know you're going to feel some type of way about this, but we're going to have to talk about this so we can move forward together. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you legitimately going out of your way knowing, gee, I wonder what's going to make her cry. Gee, I wonder what's going to piss her off. That's what I'm going to do it. And you go out of your way to do it. That makes you a lowlife. That makes you fucking abusive, be honest with you. To be totally honest with you, it makes you damn abusive. That you get this sensation of making your spouse, your significant other, your fiance cry. Because that was what your end result was. Prank my ass. The end result was you really enjoy making your fiance cry. Something wrong with that. I'm not trying to speak for Theas, but so I'll speak for myself. In no way, shape, or form would I go out of my damn way to make sure Foxy cry or get mad. I'm not laying up at night trying to think of, what can I do to make Foxy pissed off or cry? And hiding behind a prank, grow the fuck up, even if you was to believe that. How damn old are you? There is a certain point where you need to cut that BS out. Pranks are for kids. Grow up. And if you want to prank, go prank your friends. Don't prank somebody that you lay beside every night. So with that being said, I'm going to play some of the rest of the responses to the video, and then I'm going to pull a Theas and Anna, and I'm going to mute myself so I make sure that I don't talk, because that's the only way I'm going to stop talking. So I'm going to mute myself so they can take the floor. Yeah, I got an attitude, Theas. Don't look at me like that. So here's the response to the video.
Every single sentence of this comment sent shivers down my spine. Get out while you do not have legally binding ties to this man. 1. It doesn't matter if you're the biggest drama queen in the world. There is no excuse for being deliberately cruel. Making someone cry on purpose and then belittling them for crying is deliberately cruel. I really hope you do not marry someone who treats you this way. 2. Unless his family paid for the ring, it's absolutely none of their business whether you lost it. They sound like very unpleasant people, honestly, and if your fiancé isn't sticking up for you when they're out of line, well, see point number 1. Not the jerk. A prank that results in a loved one's emotional and physical panic for hours is not funny, not okay. You did not make a big deal out of it. It is a big deal that he likes to be cruel and finds it amusing to see you suffer. He ruined a special evening because he wanted you to be stressed out and suffering instead of wanting you to feel loved and happy as you deserve to on such an occasion. And he disrespected and tainted the ring that is supposed to represent your unity and love for one another. This is fully on him. He made a mistake in believing that he could manipulate you into relaxing about his cruelty, but you respect yourself too much to play along. I'm proud of you, OP, for valuing yourself when he clearly does not value you. I would never put that ring on ever again. He ruined everything, but at the end of the day, you dodged a bullet. He doesn't deserve you. You're the jerk. You're still engaged to a person who thinks it's funny to watch you panic, suffer, and cry. Your partner likes to make you suffer. It amuses him to see you like this. Does this sound like a partner you can trust to have your back and support you? Because he keeps not having your back and supporting you in small things, so why should you trust him with big things? You're a jerk for accepting the ring, saying yes, and remaining engaged to him. Stop being a jerk. Everyone sucks here except your in-laws. Your fiancé sucks because a prank is about 5 minutes, not 2 hours. You, because your in-laws spent a lot of money. If you were going to punish them for their son's actions, you should have the courtesy to call them, or pulled it together and just gone mad or not gone. Exactly. The only acceptable reason not to go to an expensive engagement dinner would be if you called off the engagement. Anything else is petty and you need to get over it and keep it between the two of you. However, if your man is really as callous as you described, you need to dump him. I can't imagine my husband letting me stress, cry, and get upset for 2 hours as a joke. Especially not before something for his family that you need to make a good impression on, like hair and makeup, etc. I don't think either of you are ready for marriage.
No, and I have to really agree with the first couple of comments that this was cruel. This went past a joke, past a prank, into I want to see you suffer. That's what gives me my jollies. I do not agree with calling her an asshole. I don't know why you would still. I mean, okay, so it sounds like this wouldn't have been the first time he tried to exert this. And so, yeah, a deep look inside as to why you have allowed any kind of behavior. I'm trying to piece in some information here without having full context. That's difficult. But no, get away from him for your mental health. And look, I understand the parents spent a lot of money. If you think about being in a panic attack for 2 hours, you really, really thought about it, if you really knew what was going on, you would not blame somebody for not being able to come out into public. No, I wouldn't call her the asshole. It is, dump this man. Please dump this man. He gets off
All
on
right, so I'll come with the
sorry.
unpopular opinion here.
Go ahead.
So, one, we just got a snippet of their entire relationship, and it's a bad one,
Mm-hmm.
but one snippet. What we
Mm-hmm.
do not know is if this is a pranking relationship. I don't know if y'all know people like this, but the ones who go back and forth at each other all the time, that's just what they do as part of their fun thing with their relationship thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? I can't roll like that. I can't function
Mm-mm.
like that because it violates, one of my core principles of protection, right? So I'm responsible for protecting my wife. That's just what it is. So sometimes when I can tell that she's purposely trying to get a rise out of me or purposely trying to piss me off because maybe she's in a bad mood and to make her feel better for me to be in a bad mood too. That really funky, weird shit. But even then, my first principle is protect her. So there's only so much I'm gonna feed into anything. So would I act a way to just do this? Absolutely not. Would I say I would never prank my wife and like take a ring and hide it from her as a gag for a few minutes? I can't say I wouldn't. I've never done it. It's been almost 20 years and I've never done it. So it's pretty safe to say I'm not gonna. But in and of itself, it just doesn't rise to that occasion for me. Where he violates my rule of protection is that the fact that you allowed her to continue to spin up and spin up and spin up and spin up and spin up, and you just sat there like this was a continued game, and that's not how you treat someone. In my opinion, that's not how you treat someone that you care about. But all that being said, they're engaged. If she's not going to break up with him, then she can go ahead and shut the hell all the way to hell up, because This is your off ramp. You're not married to him. You don't have all the contractual shit and all that weird shit that you got to deal with once you're married. Now, granted, guy's position, it's actually in her benefit to go through the marriage and then later on divorce him, because then she can walk away with something, because that's how fucked up our rules are. But for her own personal well-being, if she feels that this is what it is, she feels like, if she feels she's in a toxic situation or whatever, because it doesn't matter what we think. If she thinks she's in a toxic situation, then she needs to get out. If she feels like this is just him being an asshole, because sometimes he's an asshole, but he's her asshole, then she was wrong for not going to the dinner. You know, I don't like it when people want to have it all the way around, and I don't like when everybody reflexively jumps on, surrounds the woman like she's some kind of maiden in distress and she can do no wrong and she has no agency in whatever the hell's going on. She had no agency in him hiding the ring. She had no agency in him being cruel. She picks up her agency when she makes a decision on what she does next. She is fully able to make her own decisions on what comes next. And she's either going to stay or she's going to leave. But if she's going to stay, then, it's kind of fucked up that you let the family spend all that money, but really, at the end of the day, it was his fault, not yours. So, whatever. I don't know. This whole story, I just don't care enough about it.
Can I talk now?
Can't nobody hear what you just said?
I just said, can I talk now?
I spoke less than you did.
Oh, dude. Real or nah? I'm gonna
I mute myself because of background sound, and so I don't interrupt, and so there.
Don't get mad at the dog.
I'm not mad. I'm just trying to mitigate and let the conversation continue.
And it's Sati, not the dog.
I keep forgetting the name. Trust me. That's why I keep saying that. I literally, it cringed me to say the dog. I really don't want to. And I guarantee you by next week, I'll forget the dog's name again. It takes a while for me to get names in my head. Trust me. But there's no disrespect in it. Beautiful dog. That was a beautiful video Anna did the other day. That dog is gorgeous. Okay.
Saved my life several times too.
Thank you, Santi.
Thank you.
I picked this video, and I'm not going to give you my answer to what I'm saying because it's going to be disagreed on in a way. I need to stop doing that. I don't know which direction these people are going to go. So I just don't anymore. Every time I think I figured it out, what's the Roddy Piper had a statement. Every time you think you know the answer, I change the question. So at this point, I have no idea what's going to be said. I know the reason why my answer is the way it is. So let's go into the video.
Brief intro. When I was little, I used to visit this friend of mine very often, both because I loved playing with them and because my parents weren't at home most of the time because of work. This friend of mine had a nanny that had to look after them and also had to do some chores like cleaning, cooking for them, and help them do their homework. The problem with her, we'll call her Evil Nanny, was the fact that she wouldn't always do those things and rather sit on the couch and watch movies and stay on her phone. So my friend wouldn't always do their homework, and because of that, they didn't have very good grades, and their parents, we'll call them FP, were quite concerned about it. But when they asked Evil Nanny about it, she'd say that she tried to make them study, but they simply wouldn't listen to her. My friend's parents believed in the first place, but after some time, they started noticing that she wasn't doing the other things she had to do and started considering firing her. She remained with my friend for another month or so before things went the wrong way and she found out that FP were going to fire her. My friend and I were in their room watching a movie when suddenly we heard Evil Nanny screaming that they couldn't fire her and that she always had done the chores and everything she was asked to do. But she didn't know that my friend told them otherwise. But when FP told Evil Nanny that they knew she was lying, she rushed to the room where my friend and I were and locked the door, and when FP arrived, the following conversation occurred. Note, I was 6 when it happened, so I don't remember everything in detail. Evil Nanny, what are you doing? I'm going to take her away. You don't deserve her. I'm the one who raised her, so she's better off with me than with you. If you don't let me go with her and her friend, I'll call CPS and tell them that you took her from me. Yeah, she really said that. I'm calling the police if you won't leave this house right now. You can call whoever you want, you son of a bee. I'm not leaving. FP proceeds to call the police and tell them what's happened. At this point, both me and my friend were terrified. But when the police arrived and FP went outside to talk to them, Evil Nanny unlocked the door, grabbed me and my friend by an arm, and dragged us to the garage where her car was. She then made us get in the back seat and tried to drive off, but luckily one of the police cars was parked in front of the garage door so she couldn't escape. And after that, she got dragged outside of the car. Evil Nanny got arrested and sentenced to 5 years in jail and 10 more of probation, plus she had to pay 4,500 euros to FP, which FP saved for my friend's college fund. But after they got a new nanny who helped her with her studies, she got a full-ride scholarship and used the money to buy a scooter. To this day, we're big friends and we work for an international transport company.
I don't give two shits about this whole damn story. The hell I look like hearing about some rich ass folks who got 2 live-in nannies, full ride scholarship, and you working for an international company because you both were able to fail forward out of mediocrity. I don't hear no damn shit. All right, that was my take.
Wow.
I can't tell whether it is real or not because I don't have the reference of. So what immediately jumped out was, wait a minute, your parents went out to talk to the cops? Like, why didn't the cops come in? But that might be different in Europe? Huh. I don't know, something feels off about this. I'm not sure.
Okay, I'll give my answer. This story is so bad it wouldn't even make a good Lifetime movie. This was effing awful. I have no idea what. First of all, you went from 0 to 100. You kidnapping kids and try to tell somebody, hey, I'm going to tell people in their house that you kidnapped the kids from them. From her, I'm sorry. Kidnap the kids from her. You get in the house, which is funny as hell to me. And then you lock yourself in the bedroom. I guarantee you, there is not a door on the planet that has my kids behind it where my foot would not have kicked the door in. But we're going to hold a conversation outside the door for what reasons? But now let's get to the creme de la creme of the BS of the creme. How the hell did you get from the damn bedroom to the garage door if I'm outside the bedroom door?
Yeah, that's
hey, lady, what? Unless the bedroom has a sliding door beside the garage and you just slid the door open and get... What the hell is you talking about? I'm not even going to give you the credit of this was a good story. This was a horrible damn story. This was terrible. This was absolutely terrible. I guarantee you've got my kids locked in the door. I'm not leaving the door. You ain't going to have the ability to go from the bedroom to any garage, whether it's ranch style home, whether it's a 2-story home. I don't even care. If you have the cabin of the Waltons, you're not going to get from the bedroom to the garage to do whatever. So, yeah. No. This was really bad. It's not going to happen. And I still got to go back to the original thing that I said, because this whole story would have been short and sweet to the point. You grab my kid, aka you put your damn hands on my child, and dragged him to a bedroom. Unless I have the door of Fort Knox to my child's room, my foot is going through the door. Period. We're into this discussion. But you want me to believe this woman had I can't believe that you fired me so much that I'm willing to do a felony and kidnap kids in your house, call the cops in your house, and tell them that even though I'm working for you, both these kids are mine and you took them. This was terrible. Sorry. This was a bad story. There was no logic in it. It's not even one of those stories where it could have happened. Bullshit. This could not happen. This literally could not happen. Honestly, it just couldn't. So, there's my calm answer. Now, Thea's answer. Yeah, Thea's has this thing of rolling in my head sometimes when I pick out some stories, because there is some stories that I just go, man, that's not some damn first world bullshit. I just am not gonna put on this show, because I don't care that you rich and I have turned down stories where I'm rich and my cousin want me to pay for their college. Am I the a-hole when I say not? Fuck you.
I have my vintage wine and my wine cooler went out. And you don't understand the pain and the trauma that comes from losing a 80-year-old bottle of Chardonnay. No, I don't. I don't care.
I agree with you.
And you know, and the funny thing is like, I don't want to be like totally classist. There ain't nothing evil about being rich, to an extent. There's a certain level of rich where I'm like, you had to either be willfully blind or intentionally cruel to get what you got. But wealth in and of itself is not a crime, it's just a tool. But it's hard for my heart to go out when nothing tragic happened in this story. It was rich folks having rich folks problems.
Yeah. I have stopped myself from putting stories on where basically the analogy is always end up, am I a-hole for not giving such and such my money? That is always
sometimes you are a-hole.
And I have to balance that, because there are some stories where people save their money, and I'm gonna find some of those, because those are kind of effed up, to be honest with you. When somebody sits there and tell them, yeah, I'm frugal, I save my money, I don't have luxury things, I save up because I want to retire with good things and blah 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 and everything else. I can feel for them. They're not saying that they rich, they're just saying, hey, my whole mentality is straightforward, thinking about the future where I'm not going to work anymore. But this person is coming out of left field talking about, hey, I just done had my third child. I heard that you done saved up a whole bunch of money. I want it. Like, Wait, what? I didn't sacrifice for you. Sorry for your third child that you couldn't support, but you couldn't support the second child. So what did you think the third child was going to do? I'm cool with those stories. But the ones who, and by the way, this is the most cringy statement I'm probably going to say on this show. I could pay it. It's not going to make a dent in our budget. I just feel like it's the principle of the thing. Fuck off. You don't have an issue. This is not an issue. You're all here for validation at the very least. We have a Disney trip where we're going to be there for 6 days in one of the special hotels. This is actually a story. We have a 6-day trip at Disney World where we're actually spending time in one of the Disney hotels. That's probably the average mortgage on in somebody else's house. And my sister wants to go to Disney. I said, cool, you can come to Disney with us and we'll put you in another hotel, which is about the average of somebody's rent. So still expensive. She's mad because it wasn't to the hotel, which was the average of somebody's mortgage. So now she's complaining to the family. Am I the a-hole? Yes, you the a-hole for putting this bullshit online. So what?
Now I gotta give you credit, dog.
Hmm.
I thought this story would have been over. You managed to make this motherfucker last a whole extra 10 minutes. I'm rubbing off on you, man.
You are. I don't think know the hell out of your damn story. That's all right. We got just a note for the few. As you all know, that next weekend will be our last weekend of this month. Because you all know I always take the last weekend of the month off. So
I never noticed the pattern.
Yes.
Yes,
really?
Never noticed the pattern.
The only reason I say it's very
I
rare.
know somewhere around November we stop and we hold off for like a month or two. That's what I remember.
November, December. Like I'll do the beginning of November. The last 2 months is like Christmas, then New Year's. It's like, yeah, no. I'll see y'all in January. What y'all ain't gonna watch. I honestly don't feel like doing it. So no, we're not gonna do. But yeah, for a while, I felt like it. And it has been brought to my attention that I want to spend more time with Foxy. So I always take the last weekend of the month off.
It just came across as, hey guys, I just can't do nothing right now. And I'm like, okay.
I thought it was a random week. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. We got scheduled.
We gotta do better. Yeah, I gotta do better. I gotta pay better attention. I don't be knowing.
We have a schedule now. We have a schedule.
In my household, it's very hard to distinguish anymore. We don't have somebody who goes to work 5 days a week. We have, my dad's retired. My mom is my professional caregiver, which hours, nah. So for me, like, this show helps me orient on the it's the weekend now. It's something different.
Yeah. And it happens to me too. It will happen to me. Cause
I'm sure.
If you don't realize, sometimes I sit there and I fly through Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday. And I guarantee you by Thursday afternoon, I go, I ain't got shit to do. I don't have a subject. I don't have a topic. Oh, crap. Especially Friday night guys. Like, it's amazing how I'll be real excited because that's me and Thea's show. Friday night guys, I can't wait. Me and Thea's going toe to toe, head to head. We gonna duke it out on every subject, and I ain't got a damn subject.
Which is fine because now that my daughter's in band, Fridays is I'm at the football field.
We don't have anything. I mean, I should have literally said that was the last Friday night guys because the next holiday is Thanksgiving. I mean, if I want to be an a-hole about it, I could do Halloween, but come on, no.
Well, my birthday's in the first week of December. So we got that.
Yep, and next May, 20 years.
20.
That'll be 18 years for me in March.
Wow.
Long time.
Yep. 20 years. For somebody that gave us 6 months.
6 months to a year.
To a year, yes, to be fair.
Oh, to be fair?
And you exceeded expectations. So that's a good thing. See, look at you.
I blew the expectations out of the water.
Well, I mean, don't get too big on yourself now. You only had to beat a year.
Oh, I just thought about it. The Halloween show where I dressed in costume is coming up. Oh, yeah. Yep. You was a princess the last time? Okay. Well,
she was a queen. She was a... Well, I don't know. No, wait. Was she a queen on her birthday? She came in with a crown.
I know, and I can't remember, was that a princess or a queen, so I can't remember. I don't even know if that's
she would be the queen. I've never heard her say princess.
Oh, I'm sorry, because that's beneath her. We got 89-year-old princesses right now in England. So
we who?
Well, not we.
The world has many.
It's always making something deeper than what it really need to be. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, they oppressors. That's always gonna be what it is. They sitting on stolen land, stolen jewelry, stolen wealth, stolen, and they get to be rich just for the sake of being fucking rich. They ain't got to do nothing. They don't rule nothing. They don't organize nothing. They just get to be wealthy and special. No, sorry.
And this is why I Theo-ish every story now, because of rants like that. So thanks, Diaz.
You're welcome.
Mafia video of the week. So the Mafia video of the week is from Anna. She sent me a video that I couldn't use, and I didn't want that because it had music in the background. So I knew I'm not going to sit here and try to fight copyright infringement. Sometimes they let me through, sometimes they don't. And the funny thing about it is they're so a-hole about it that they can't just sit there and go, hey, you need to remove this music. It's like, hey, no, we're blocking the whole damn 3-hour, 2-hour show because of this 10-second clip of music. Like, okay, whatever. But the video before that she sent me was pretty good. And it was satire, so to speak, but it was satire as a play. Tell me what a lie was, because all they really said is the quiet part out loud.
Tell me about yourself. I'm a gastroenterologist who hasn't seen a patient in 12 years. Why did you stop practicing? License suspended. Medicare fraud. That shows initiative. I like that. Why do you want to work for United Healthcare? I want to give people peace of mind when it comes to their healthcare costs. Why do you really want to work for United Healthcare? Money. I want it. Who do you want to take that money from? Everybody. Even the poor and infirm? Especially the poor and infirm. Do you keep up with the latest medical advances? Absolutely not. How's your empathy? Non-existent. A neurosurgeon requests prior authorization for emergency removal of a brain tumor. How do you respond? We'll get back to you in 6 to 8 weeks. What brings you joy? Maximizing corporate profits while getting yelled at by desperate Americans with crushing amounts of medical debt. Here's a claim. Review it. Denied. Don't you want to look at it first? No.
We could play around with the whole concept of, oh, that's real funny and everything else. That's blah, 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 blah. Really, that's what it is. Whether you want to say it out loud, whether you even say it, you're doing it. You don't have to say it at all, but that's what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody has an emergency, whatever, emergency / pick an operation. Your concept is it's going to take 6 to 8 weeks to review this. It's disgusting, but you don't care. It's deplorable, but you don't care. It's dangerous, but you don't care. It's not about the patient. It's about the money. But that has always been our country to begin with anyway. It is amazing to me that corporations, including our healthcare system, has come up with any excuse whatsoever to raise the cost of living, literally, and blame it on everything other than greed. One of the two things that always popped in my head 50 million times is Obamacare. Ever since I was paying such and such amount for health insurance until Obamacare, now I'm paying X amount of money and blah, 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 and everything else. Fucker, I work too. Insurance went up every damn year. Shut the hell up. Obama could have not even existed and healthcare would have still went up. The second one was, if we pay employees living wages, i.e. McDonald's, Burger King, fast food, if we pay them minimum wages, then we have to raise the price of food. Meanwhile, we're raising the price of food. Remember when McDonald's had a 99-cent menu? When the last time you seen that? When the last time you seen that? And you still ain't giving them minimum wage, so what's your damn excuse? By the way, McDonald's, since we on the subject, and this is only, I mean, I'm not gonna say this is only, but this is how I've seen it in Charlotte. Yeah, you did roll out them kiosks now, where you order your food from the kiosk and then you just go up and get your food. Prices still ain't lowered. Still ain't lowered. Still at the same price you had it before and after and during the kiosk being put in. Prices still going up. Here's a shocker.
No, I mean, you know, you and I seldom see eye to eye on such things.
On this, yeah.
But I don't even know where to start So I'm gonna start with the health insurance thing, I guess. First off, everybody wants to paint everything as like this. You've heard me say it before, comic book scenario where you got good and you have evil. It's not the case. If you understand what insurance is, then you understand how insurance works. Insurance is taking the law of large numbers and also adjusting for adverse selection, right? So it's taking a little bit of money from a whole lot of people to pay for someone's care. Now, I'm not here where I'm going here. I'm not saying the health insurance companies are blameless, because they are very much part of the problem. But they're also extremely important, because if I have to have surgery one time, I might be able to scrounge together enough assets and borrow enough things from family to pay that $10,000 to $15,000. But a lot of times, people who are in the most need and the ones who use the health insurance system the most, they are taking out far more than they're putting in. Because if you're constantly having to go in for surgeries, seeing specialists, having blood work, having all these different things, that $300, $400 a month you paying, that ain't covering it, Jack. So that's where it's using the larger pool. So we got to be careful when we're going at things, that we're using, I guess, more of a balanced approach to things, because what would we be dealing with if we didn't have it, right? The problems that we run into is the corporate side. Once you commoditize things, it's all about the profitability. And that's what then stretches us away from what insurance is supposed to do and what businesses are supposed to do. They actually have laws now, and this is going somewhere. They have laws on the books now that make it against the law for a corporation not to prioritize the increasing shareholder wealth. Because what a corporation is designed to do is to increase shareholder wealth. So if you are not doing that thing, you can be sued for not raising your prices, for not doing this, for not doing that, because you're not making the stock market happy. You're not making the investors happy. So you have that. Then you also have to look at our own role in a lot of these things. You pointed out McDonald's. In my opinion, there are some businesses that simply, they've outlived their usefulness. They've gone past the point where they're sustainable. They are built off of a model that needs to be expired. McDonald's needs to go. All wage jobs, they need to go, because what happens is, in order for them to pay what they should pay their employees, they'd have to charge us more. But we don't want that. We want to instead say, wait a minute now, I'm just going to make up a number. McDonald's CEO, even though they're franchised, so every franchisee ain't making a whole lot of money, but McDonald's, the head person, is making $2 million a year, but he's only paying his workers $8 an hour, right? And we say, well, that's the problem. He should take less and give them to his workers. I agree with you there. But is that really going to achieve what you think it's going to achieve when payroll is somewhere in the neighborhood of $70,000, $80,000 a month? That $2 million ain't going to cover but so much if you really decide to do the math. And then we kept saying, well, wait a minute, you're not paying these people enough money. We're not paying these people enough money. What do you think these businesses are going to respond? They're just going to pay more money? No. Here's what they do. Because, first of all, these are lower skilled professions. This is not an attack on the individual doing the job. This is about the job. The job is a low skilled position. I can bring anyone in. I have multiple people who are trying to take this job, at any moment, right? It's plug and play. So you want me to pay $20 an hour to someone I was paying $10 an hour. To do what? Oh, to cook fries and make the sandwiches? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut 2/3 of the staff so that there's only going to be 2 people working in the kitchen. I'm going to pay them $20 an hour, but they're going to be working in the kitchen. And part of their job is they also have to come here with a level of education that says they're able to do IT maintenance, right? So now I'm going to make it so these people need to come with vocational skills and technical skills that make it so that they can operate this machinery that we have going on. And I'm going to pay them $20 an hour. Now I'm going to overwork them, but I'm going to pay them what you told me I need to pay them. By pushing for what you wanted, we just laid off 12 people. Bravo. Job well done. What people want is this imaginary world where just pay us more. Just pay us more. But we don't want to deal with what comes with that. We don't want to deal with the layoffs. We don't want to deal with the optimization. We don't want to deal with the technology stuff. We don't want to deal with the skills training. We don't want to deal with what's going on with the schools to give us people who can actually do the job. We just want you to fix it for us. And that's not accurate to how the world works. Anybody who I would love to debate. Anybody who is interested in having a debate with me on the magic unicorn world, I'm open to it because I will dissect it and we will run the numbers and you will find out that what you're saying is not sustainable by your own ideals. We have a problem with corporate greed. We have a problem with corporate largesse. We do. But the remedy that people are trying to put in place actually would hurt the very thing they say that they advocate for. So I'm sorry. So you were coming at the insurance industry, but you were doing it from a very biased view. And then you turned and you went towards like the McDonald's thing and it was all labor. And I get you are very much labor centered. But even when you come at something from the labor perspective, what are the give and takes there? And are you ready to give what you're trying to take?
Okay. Now here's my counter argument towards that. To everything that you said. It is amazing to me that the reason that and I'm not saying is that you're saying it. I'm just making a counter off.
No, we're having a discussion. Let's do it.
Yeah. The only reason that those things are being said is because the world has opened back up. Because everything that you said when we was going through COVID and the world was shutting down, the first thing out of everybody's mouth was nobody wants to work. And we constantly kept saying, no, nobody wants to work for what you're paying us. So when people kept sitting there saying, it is amazing to me. And by the way, America, this is funny that you literally should look at yourself when you say this. You're not, but I'm just throwing it out there. This is funny that you should look to us. Nobody should be on unemployment making more money than working. I will repeat that. Nobody should be making more money being unemployed than they would if they was working. And that was what happened during the pandemic. And the first thing out of everybody out of their mouth was nobody wants to work. It isn't that nobody wants to work. That was fine that everybody wants to work, but the problem is that they was having was everybody wants to go. And I'm not I'm not saying you. I'm just going by arguments that I hear all the time.
No, let's do it. This is a good conversation.
I should pay you a whole bunch of money just to flip burgers. I need a whole bunch of money just to take orders. No, I don't want to get paid. I want to get paid a whole bunch of money to take orders and put up with your bullshit at the counter when you're pissed off at because you got less ketchup on your damn funky ass burger than you did the last time. It is literally
and the solution to that would be that I won't have you at the counter. I will put a kiosk up. It's like we have to
But
be
that's the
careful.
deal.
We want what's better, but we don't want to let go of what's bad. Right? What's bad is the working conditions that some of these places put people in.
Right.
Is bad. They should not even be able to sustain themselves. The only reason they can stay in business is because they're underpaying their people. That's how they do it. Right? So if you want better, better is not paying these people better. Better is that business shouldn't be here taking advantage of people so that people can go move on to a different job. But in order to do that, you have to invest in your society. You have to decide that I'm going to do better to help people get through school. I'm going to do better to help people get their kids through pre-K. I'm going to do better with getting job training. I'm going to make it better. There's so much more to it, but people want a simple solution. They go straight to, well, if you adjust for inflation and the appreciation of the dollar, everybody should be making $17 an hour. Okay, here's the thing about that $17 an hour, or 15, whatever number you want to run with. Let's say you take a person making $8 an hour and you move them to $15 an hour. They didn't sell more food. They didn't make more profit. We're just going to adjust the labor cost upwards to where it makes more sense for the people that you have come into work each day. So now we're going to pull that out of the profit margin of the business. How is that sustainable? So now everybody loses their job. We're coming at it from the wrong way. That's my contention. McDonald's doesn't need to pay their people more. McDonald's needs to, well, they do need to pay their people more. But McDonald's, in so paying their people more, we need to actually think about how will they respond to that demand. Right? We can't just say do it because that's what's right. Because what's right is not necessarily profitable, and people who love to, oh, it's profitable. Yes, profitable. Because if it's not profitable, it can't sustain itself and everyone loses their job. So what are the real solutions that people are willing to go for?
I don't have a problem with a company balancing their books to be profitable. What I have
to what extent, though?
Because
how profitable is too profitable?
That's the issue that I'm having. Because year after year, you could be profitable in your first year. I'm just making up a company. Just make up whatever, XYZ. You was profitable that year. The second year, you was more profitable. The third year, you was more profitable the first and second year. It's when you get to the fourth year when you decide, not only do I want to be profitable, I'm going to cut jobs regardless of what the reason is. Not paying you more, not paying for more equipment, not paying more wages for anything. I'm looking directly at the profits and the deal is this, what bothers me so more is, okay, first, second, and third year, this is how much we made in profit. So the fourth year, this is how much I literally want to make in profit. Literally what I want to make. So my idea is I want to cut as much fat as I possibly can. And when I say fat, that includes employees, wages, laying off people, laying off warehouses or shutting down warehouses and everything else. They're starting off their base off of looking at their profit margins. So when it is bad faith to sit there and go, well, what are you? We can't sit here and say you have to be profitable. You were profitable. The problem is the greed in your profit that you want to make as much money as you possibly can. The hell with everything else.
That's why why I advocate for the windfall tax, right? So that if your profits are so far beyond what they were the year prior, then you're taxed heavier for that windfall, right? Last year you made $10 million profit. This year you made $15 million profit. That extra $5 million would be subject to a windfall tax because you had a really great year. Now, that's from a governmental system trying to kind of put the brakes on it a little bit. But the problem that I think is important here is a lot of people do not have business training. So they don't understand balance sheets, income statements, or cash flow statements. They don't understand them. So they don't look at the fact that the business was in the red when it was paying salaries for the first couple of years. They only start to clue in when they see the profit part, right? But that profit part came after running a deficit for a certain period of time. Then the other thing that we go into, especially if you're incorporated, is where you have this whole thing where you're trying to, every quarter, you're trying to beat last quarter, or you're always trying to comp over the prior quarter's numbers. So now you're not planning truly for the future, right? Your future plans are just how do we stay in business, but you are really moving on a 3 to 6 month cycle because it's always about being able to report better numbers, which then means you're not really caring about the business or taking care of the business, in my opinion, which gets into something that you were talking about. Well, if you are trying to run a business,
I was saying keep going.
What'd I do?
Nothing. I want
now
you
I'm
to
lost.
keep going.
Oh, but well, I'm just saying, you said keep going when I was already talking. But anyway, long story short, this is why, and here I'm going to do shameless plug of how I will be running my businesses once I'm finally out of the cash-strapped experience of being a typical American, right? There will be me as the owner, because I probably will not incorporate because I don't want to deal with some of the mess that comes with it. But I would be the owner, and then I would have my board that I would structure. And that board will have people who are more experienced than me in business, people who have different connections that I might need in business, people who specialize in certain things that I'm not specialized in to help me run the business. But then also, there will be a seat on the board for my employee representation. I will unionize, as a manner of speaking. So now my employees will be able to vote for who they want to be their representative on that board. Now, depending upon how big we get in the beginning, it won't be very hard. So you have the employees, they vote for a representative. The representative sits in the board meetings. They are a member of the board. They have a vote like everybody else. So they're getting access to this information. But then to go a little bit step further, I believe that you should also have quarterly or semi-annual meetings with your employees. Now, here's the thing. That meeting, we're going to talk about, I'm not going to get into every little bitty thing because that's not what you are here for. That's not your skill set. Me giving you information you can't use is wasted energy. But people need to be more transparent and have more faith in their employees than what they do. So I will make sure that when we're sitting here talking, you do get to see the top line numbers, right? This is what we made. This is what we spent. This is what the profit looks like. This is where the profit's generally going, right? So that you can see what's going on. I also believe in profit sharing, so that if whatever amount of profit we make, say 20% of the profit, it goes back to the employees. We all share in it equally. I don't care if you're the CEO or the person at the bottom. I got 20% of profit and everybody gets an equal share. Boom, there we go. Now, I know some people are going to piss and bellyache about that. Well, how come I get this and the CEO gets the same thing? CEO already getting a bunch of money. And you got different skill sets and different requirements to the job. But you're all going to share in the profits, because the more profitable we are, we can only be that way because every layer in the business made that happen. Right? So I believe that that's important. But see, this is me trying to structure businesses. I believe in connecting the different tiers of earnings together, and I believe in profit sharing, and I believe in being more full disclosure on the functionings of the business, so that you can see, hey, There won't be raises this year. Why aren't there raises this year? Well, if you notice, there wasn't no profit this year, right? Because see, people always want to say pay me more. They never say pay me less. Never. I've never met a single person in all my years of working that says if the company has a bad year, it's okay if they pay me less. Never heard it. It's just more and more and more. So people just need to be willing to have a real discussion and look at all the things that tie things together. And unfortunately, our companies don't trust us enough to share with us some of the information. And then we are not willing to go get the information that we can get. So we just go and paint people as villains because it's easier to do it.
Okay. I've come to the conclusion that the next time that we literally ever have a Friday night, guys, this will be the discussion. Me and Theas, I mean, we already divorced, so what's the worst that could happen? We're going to go toe to toe on this subject.
See, I just have a problem of thinking of medicine as a business, that this is something that we can profit from and that we should profit from, instead of we should be taking care of our people. I agree
that. I agree with you that there are certain things. So here we're going to go into my philosophy about government and the private system, right? I believe that the government should be the loss leader. The government is supposed to invest in the things that are necessary for the operation and progression of the nation, even when it's not profitable, so that private industry can focus on being profitable, right? Now you got to put a few breaks in, like we were talking about, as far as private industry, to make sure they're not being like robber barons. But the government should handle things like national defense, local, like international and national defense, right? They should focus on healthcare. They should focus on law enforcement. That's what the government should be doing. Those things should not be privatized. Okay?
I do.
But you got to be willing to look at what your trade-off is going to be once you do that. Because if you pull all of that stuff away from the private sector, you do hurt ingenuity. You do hurt research and development, because the urgency gets taken away. And it's because of that urgency that you get a lot of these medical breakthroughs. So that the government is sending money to these private entities to do the research and development. It gets you the breakthrough that helps you with cancer treatment and all these other different things, right? So are we ready for the trade-off? Because we can't just look at what it should be. We got to look at what it most likely will be, because we have hundreds of years of experience of how people will react to certain situations. You make it all government, all healthcare is government. Government's has always had an issue with who gets access to the benefits of being a citizen.
Yep.
Okay. So the best healthcare will be localized to the best communities. The worst healthcare will be localized to the worst communities.
Right.
The cost of prescription drugs, medications, even if they made it all free, they will find a way to extract most of that wealth out of the lower classes and the working classes. Because that's what we already do with our tax program. We subsidize housing for wealthy people. We do not do the same for poor people.
No.
Right? Our tax code actually pays you to have a nice house.
Yep.
It does not pay you to be in an apartment. Right? So if we're going to go at it, we got to really go at it, and it will be extremely disruptive.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think medical care should be profit driven. But how do you incentivize a society that's already built that way?
Foxy's videos of the week. This is the weekend before the last weekend. I only have one serious story tonight. Only one serious story. And I'm going to be very transparent on this video. I don't know how real it is. That may be me being realistic or it may be cynical. I don't know. But that's for me to figure out personally. If this video is real, kudos. It's something that I've always advocated for because it was something that I always grew up on. If it's not, I'm not shocked. I'm not appalled, mad, blah, 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 all that other stuff. I'm just not, because my expectations have already been lowered to that point anyway. So here's the video.
What this church did literally made my jaw drop.
I'll never forget the morning that I saw an article about a group of Muslims who had bought 30 acres and were planning to build a complex. When I saw that, my stomach kind of tightened up. They were going to be right across the street from us. I felt that ignorance and that fear. So I prayed. I said, Lord, what are we supposed to do?
It is a difficult time for Muslims in America. We did not expect to be welcomed. We thought we have to work hard. And one day we were driving by and we see a banner. And that banner says,
Heart Song Church welcomes the Memphis Islamic Center to the neighborhood.
Me and my wife both were thinking about leaving church because I just did not accept what was going on.
Lord, we are so humble.
I went to Pastor Steve and asked him, I said, what are we doing? He told me to read the Gospels. When I read through those Gospels and I figured out I was the problem. What was going on with the world today? I was the problem.
On coat drives and food drives, and close to 9/11, we do a blood drive together.
I would have never thought that I would be friends with Muslims. Right here. And I love it. It's kind of like my world got bigger.
We are a better congregation now. We are better people because of this friendship with Heart Song.
It's an amazing friendship that I can't imagine having missed out on.
How's everybody doing today? Well, cheer louder if you're having fun.
Let me say this real quick before I open it up to the panel. I have been, I'm not going to say I am sick of, I have been sick of this for the longest time. Because I know my history, not as great as everybody else. Not even close. I mean, I'm still learning stuff and I'm in my 50s. White America has a history of demonizing bad people, all the while ignoring you. So let's go back to World War II. You demonized all of Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go a little further ahead from that. You demonized all of Japan, to the point you had concentration camps. Doesn't matter who that person was of Japanese descent, didn't matter at all. It was, you are Japanese, we're going to punish you. And I'm not even going to get into an argument about good, bad, or ugly of what Japan did during World War II, because that's not my argument, and I'm not going to start off with that. My point is, you demonize all of Japan for what Japan did. And you punish all of Japanese Americans, Japanese descendants. It doesn't matter, for the protection of what you did. Just like what you did to Germany, because of a cluster of what?
I'm just trying to see where you going, dog.
You don't think that they bastardized all of Germany because of what neo-Nazi, well, not neo, that's stupid, because of what the Nazis did?
The Nazis were the actual government.
But you bastardized the whole country of Germany.
Yes.
It was German.
When you go to
Everything
war with
German.
America, you go to war with America. When you go to war with Israel or Afghanistan, or you go to war with the nation.
I get that. The funny thing about it is, have you ever noticed?
I was with you with Japan.
Okay. I get it. Now let me go ahead and just skip all the way to the beginning. I mean, all the way to the end. Then have you noticed that we never go to war with white America?
No, because that's us.
It's a cute slogan, but let's go really deep. It's a cute slogan that we are, but we really never have. When we had the Oklahoma City bombing, which was a white Christian American male, did we go to war?
No.
Okay. This church basically said, I have an issue with all Muslims.
Yes.
9/11.
Yes.
I'm not finna sit there and just look at this whole situation and go, that's the way it is. Sorry.
No, I'm not saying that.
But you're not saying
I'm
it.
just saying the parallels you were drawing, I was a little lost, but I'm trying to get where you're going, not nitpicking as we go. You know what I mean? So
The funny thing about it is that we can look through history, which again I have said on this show millions of times, they've never attacked something that they're not afraid of. The thing that they attack it is history. If you look through history, white America has done most of the most outrageous, disgusting things to this world that you can think of. You celebrate Christopher Columbus, I will put this out there. Please go study Chris. And think if you go feel the same way about Christopher Columbus Day next year that you feel like this year. But you so whitewash Christopher Columbus, it ain't even funny. That dude was a monster. Pure monster. I'm not even saying bad.
And greenlit by the Pope. Yes, there's a whole lot of stuff in there.
He also wasn't American.
Andrew Jackson. Please go look at that dude's history.
Andrew Jackson depends on the perspective you're coming from. All these things depends on the perspective that you're coming from.
There is a case, though, that in when we were both in World War I and II, that there was an anti-German sentiment that went out. It was beyond the government. It was to everyday people. Like, people were changing their names because they didn't want to seem German.
Yes.
Right?
Because we are a nation of immigrants.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though.
Hold on. Harry S. Truman, and everybody keep asking this. Harry S. Truman. And logic was, the humor was, What do the S stand for Harry S. Truman? And they said it stood for nothing. That's not true. I can't remember what the name of it was, but it was an Austrian middle name. And Harry knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that if that middle name got out, there was no way in the world that he would have been elected president because it was too close to foreign. So he put out the rumor himself that the S stands for nothing. My parents just gave me an initial for S.
But it's always easier to look over there than it is to look here, which is kind of what the argument that you're pointing out. So with
what am I looking over there?
Germany,
I'm looking at us.
Huh?
I'm looking literally
that's
at
my
us.
point though. When we talk about World War II, World War I, we talk about any other nation, any other country, you name it, whatever. It's very simple because we can do a broad brush on things over there because the nuances aren't as important to the discussion, so to speak. Right? When America attacked Afghanistan because Al-Qaeda had training camps there, they did not care that the people who actually attacked America came out of Saudi Arabia. They went after Afghanistan because it was a softer target. Who cares what happens over there? But you look at America and you're like, well, did they ever go to war with white America? Not really, no, because how do you go against your cousin? How do you go against your uncle? Last time America went up against their own family was the Civil War, and they don't ever want to do that again. So that's why we get stuck in these nuance battles where, like, okay, well, we passed the KKK law, but didn't actually try to get rid of the KKK. Just wanted to make them smaller, right? You got the white nationalist shit that we got going on right now. They don't ever go in. When's the last time you heard the FBI raided a militia camp or broke up a militia? No, not doing it.
We did have the ones where they stopped the weapons truck, though. The U-Haul.
Did they go in and wipe out the camp, round everybody up, put everybody up on charges? They ain't doing it because after the David Koresh situation, they scared to do that. So we had Dylan Roof. I'm using him as a quick example. He went in and murdered 9 people in the church. He had white nationalist symbols on his clothing, on his paraphernalia, and whatever other shit he had going on. But they went after him as an individual. They did not go after the militia he was tied to. They did not go after his social network, not at the level that was public and front facing. So it's real hard for America to look at itself. America has never been able to look at itself, ever. Right? You pointed out some really good points about like the Japanese internment camp, but America has had internment camps since the beginning.
Yep.
They put indigenous people in internment camps. They put enslaved Africans in internment camps. They put the Japanese in internment camps. They put the Chinese in internment camps. They put the Haitians in internment camps. What we just went through with the El Salvadorians and the people from Central America coming across the border and losing them in cages and all that shit, that's an internment camp.
Mm-hmm.
In the moment, we don't call it that, but in a few years, we will.
Mm-hmm.
So this is America. this is what it is. But to that church situation,
which was real.
I'm like at war with myself with this one, Marlon, because on one hand, that breakthrough is the type of breakthrough that has to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Though I am highly doubtful that it really changed the hearts and minds for long, because that's a dated story. So I'll be willing to bet most, if not all, them jokers are Trump supporters today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So did they really have the breakthrough, or did they find their exception clause? Right? I still don't like Muslims, but I like you. Right? That type of thing. Proximity brings familiarity, which means now you find a level of acceptance and all of that. And that's why I say I'm at war with myself, because on one hand, yes, good story. I'm glad that they were able to work past the obstacles in their lives to find themselves in a situation where they see the humanity in each other. But once again, it took the other, it took the one that was under attack to come to you. Right? It still took that. They still had to prove themselves worthy for you to see them as something other than what you originally cast them to be. And that's the other side of my battle, because I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the typical white American who needs to actually feel it, touch it, experience it in order to have a breakthrough. That is an incredibly slow process. And too many people are dying and losing their freedom as you wait for the right situation to crack your hard shell and see that, oh, we're all human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And let me say this real quick, and then I'll give it to you. This is why I feel the way that I feel. Best believe it's going to take some years, if it ever even happens. Remember what I said at the beginning of this? I don't know if this was real or this was a play or whatever. I have to fight in myself of, this is the change that I want. But when I get the change that I want, I have to fight myself of going, but is it real or not?
And why did it take so much to get that little bit?
Yeah. And that's what bothers me. I get what I asked for. This is what the changes that I want. And you could put that on XYZ or whatever subject that we have ever brought onto this show. And when we get it, we are so stigmatized at saying the word but. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is we get exactly what we asked for, but we're waiting for that loophole. We're waiting for that, but why? When we ask for something and we get it, we're kind of like, I've said this to somebody before. Remember when somebody tells you something flat out, this is what you need to do, or this is my statement, or this is my stance, or everything else. And they look past your statement and look at it as if it's a piece of paper, and they flip the piece of paper to look up under it to see something else, instead of flat out taking what you just said at face value. And I think that's what I'm coming to now. I see what it is that this church has done, but I'm looking up under it to see, well, why? Why?
For 400 years, it's taught you better look up under it and see what the hell else is going on. But you can't allow that to completely obscure what you wanted. See what I'm saying? Like, that's why I say I'm at war with myself. And that's with OUC, that I'm building. That's part of it, right? I have a part that is come one, come all, because I want us to build those personal bridges, even if the communities never come together. At least you individually might have the opportunity to make a new white friend, make a new Latin friend, make a new black friend. You as an individual have the opportunity to have something new in your life. And then on the other side of it, I'm trying to strengthen my community, and I'm focused on my people. But I'm doing both of these things because I think both of these things have to happen. And that is represented in what we just talked about with this church. Because on the one hand, They are doing something. They're taking a tangible step toward better. But we have to be aware of our history and the motivations and the current events, not just history. Ain't gonna reach back 200 years. We look back right now, and you need to be dubious of what's going on. But that's just keeping your guard up. You must also say, but are they doing, or are they moving in the direction that I said that I wanted them to move? And if they are, how do I find the grace to give them the room to be better than I think they are?
To grow. Yeah.
And that's hard, because you give that grace, and history has shown that the repayment for that may be your very life. There haven't been a lot of examples of the repayment being kumbaya. But you want kumbaya. And this is a step towards kumbaya. So it's like you have to live in both of these worlds simultaneously. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's why this is so hard.
All right, Anna, you have the last word.
Just that this was a real story in Memphis, Tennessee. The Heart Song Church is a Methodist church, and it happened in 2020. So yeah, in a way, it's sad that they needed to be reminded of their own scriptures. But I'm really glad that they did go and look at them again, and that they did welcome this mosque in town. What it's like today, I have no idea.
Well, that's the other thing. So just quick Google searches, they got the issues too. But it's like, once again, we got to decide what we want and then work towards that thing and know that it's going to be imperfect and all of those different things. I know going in, I hold certain biases. I have been studying my people's history in this country for the last almost 15 years now. So I'm seeing the patterns. I'm watching the things. Those of you who have known me for more than 2 years, almost everything we're experiencing, I called it back then. Because nothing's new under the sun. Right? We got, it's the same play, new actors. So from what I can see, this is going to get worse. It ain't going to get better. And it's going to be that way for probably the next 5 to 15 years-ish, because we're in the midst of white backlash, or we used to call white lash. So white America has shown they will do some really fucked up shit for like 40 years. And then they'll have a guilt thing, because after those 40 years, their children have grown up, so their children want to be opposite of their parents. So you'll have a guilt streak, and then for about 5 years, they'll be nicer. But then after those 5 years, backlash comes back around. So it's usually like a 40-year bad, 5 to 10 good, 40-year bad. That's just kind of how this shit runs.
Do you remember the period of about 3 months right after 9/11? Like,
I remember immediately after 9/11, we was kumbaya.
It seemed like
it wasn't real.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
It was real. It was real. It was a human. It was an event that allowed for you to go beyond the normal struggles and battles, because we could have a unified enemy.
Exactly.
If you can give us a unified enemy, then you can have the appearance of unity. But America's never had unity. Like they look at World War II, the greatest generation, and they talk about how we were all united. And we were like, people were not eating canned foods and they were donating all their metal and they were working for free. And the women were able to finally get jobs in the warehouses and the factories and all that. Great highline story. Underneath that, still had segregation, still had lynching, still had different facilities for the soldiers who were actually over there fighting. Still had it where German POWs were taken better care of than black soldiers who were literally dying on the field. So the whole thing is just a muddled mess, but it allows for a great patriotic story because you look back and you're like, after 9/11, the whole country just came together. No, the whole country had one person to hate. That's all. we had a villain. You give us a villain, let's go. Right?
Yeah, but that's what I was saying was I think the whole after 9/11 was fake too. Because now the people who were Muslims and who was already in this country who had absolutely nothing to do with 9/11, they was bastardized. And it's like, are we really all together, or are we looking at the majority of America? And if you want to look at the majority of America, yes, the majority of America was together because your common enemy was something who had absolutely nothing to do with what happened.
And your common enemy was a caricature. So if you remember, they weren't just attacking Muslim people. They were attacking sheikhs, however you pronounce the right way their thing was. Sheikh?
Sikh, not with an SH, it's just Sikh. Yep.
Right? They were attacking anything that looked Muslim, okay? So, or looked Arab. It didn't matter. And then they had all the vitriol that normally, like you think about all the horrible words that have been used for black people. And they turned around and used those same terms for anyone who was Middle Eastern. They just put sand in front of it. I know y'all heard the term. So this is America is a horrid, horrid place, but the world is a horrid, horrid place. So we had a different enemy. And remember, they didn't take the Muslim community and put them in internment camps per se. What they did was they unleashed the FBI on them. They expanded the surveillance network on them. They used our shared hatred and bigotry. And I say our because every community all of a sudden mattered when it's time to be able to do something horrible to someone else. But the reality of America is if you're not black, you're not white, you're some level of invisible. And that's the sad reality. Because if you're Asian, you get lumped into a huge bubble of Asian, even though that's the most diverse group of people on the fucking planet, right? But they get put in one bubble, they're called Asian. And then they're placed in proximity to whiteness. If you're Indian, like from India, even though you look like us, you are still Asian, so you get put closer proximity to whiteness. If you're Latino, unless you pass for white, you are treated like a one-off from black. So you're put in that bucket over here. In America, it's black or it's white. And then where do you fall as far as what we want to just kind of sift you to? But truly, no one matters but black and white.
All right. So let's go ahead and move on. Let's go ahead and get up out of here. Like I said, that was the only serious story that we have tonight. The rest of it is just acting silly. Story time.
Story time. She never even knew her shirt had a hole. Lot of style. Storytime. With this final bag, she had completely disposed of the body.
Oh, my cover.
Storytime. The receptionist's dark secret was that the computers were only used for Minesweeper.
How did you know?
Storytime. One of these men forgot to check their flies. That man was me. These three were fine. Storytime. No matter how fast he ran, he could not escape the demon, but he would not let his soul be taken today.
Storytime. The woman was alone, but she seemed to be haunted by ghosts of her past.
You're haunting me.
Storytime. As he squeezed the melons, he pictured them as the hearts of his enemies.
Storytime. The man knew exactly what to do to embarrass his son.
Storytime. He looked out of the field of beheaded warriors, and in his hands he held the head of the Pumpkin King. He had won.
Storytime. The man's butt scratching was complete. Dude, what? It was delightful. True. What? Storytime. The two were models, and they loved to strut their stuff.
Yeah, all of this is weird. Get over it. At the end of the week, have some fun.
I got nothing. Anna, what you got?
That was a lot of stories.
I'm taking the joy out of this show. Oh, this is Radical Truth to Power. It's supposed to be. Never mind. Suffer. Dad jokes.
Dude, I asked for Sprite and they gave me clown juice.
I have to alert all the dads. All of them! It's the best dad joke yet!
Okay, so first, I think that was cute. Second, that was a mom joke. It wasn't a dad joke because there wasn't a dad who told the joke. And then, because of the patriarchy of this society, a man stole her story and then ran off to tell it to other men to pass it off as our own. Once again, forcing our women into the shadows.
This is bad. Last video of the night. I don't know what this group is. I have no idea who this group is, but they have a type of joke, and I'm sorry, but it's just so damn funny when they do the joke that I can't help but show it. You will all know who it is if you watched last night's show.
Put your hands up. This is a mockery. Don't you mean a robbery?
Don't you mean a robbery? Don't you mean a robbery?
That was cute.
Don't know why that's so funny
those
to
on
me.
Facebook. I watch those on Facebook from time to time. Those was cute.
I don't even know why that's so funny to me. It's like it's the same joke as yesterday, but it's like it's so damn funny.
I think the Mockingbird was better.
The Mockingbird was funny. Look, it's a mockingbird. Look at the mockingbird. Look at the mockingbird. I think the mockingbird was funny. But this was a good second place. This is a mockery. Don't you mean a robbery? Did you mean a robbery? Did you mean a robbery?
Yeah, that was cute.
The dude was starting to cry like.
Because at the end of the day, you still pulled a gun on me, man. What is
like you still
how do I respond in this moment?
I don't even know what to say. Like, all right. I needed positive doubts, bring me down. And good night, y'all. Good night, LL.
Good night.
Totally honest with you. Good night, everybody else. Is tell everybody where they can find you.
Man, I don't even know, man. Look, check out my man Marlon and my lady over here, Miss Anna, and just support them, and then you might find me from time to time because sometimes I go ghost.
Anna?
BoreliaEtc.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, non-conforming individuals, and of course,
I'm assuming you're LGBTQ. And
that is our show for tonight. I appreciate Thea. I appreciate Anna. Y'all gonna get some really low energy because it's almost the end of the year. So yeah, it is what it is. So until next time, we will see you when we see you. Peace.
Good night, John Paul. Night, Mary Ellen.
I mean, he was just feeling all over her breasts.
I mean, they were nice.